from my producer, which is also me. Hi, I'm Eric Allen. I'm the producer and host of Genesis or Genesisn't, which is this show right here that you're watching. Right. With me is my good friend Joe Drilling.
I'm also the producer and host of this show, but not the player. Almost never the player.
Yeah. So we have a pretty big staff.
We do.
Yeah.
It's two of us.
I got a big staff. Oh, yeah. All right, so tonight we're going to play a game called King of the Monsters. Technically, I think this game might actually lie outside the purview of this show since it also came out for the Super Nintendo, but
I don't think
we've done like 40 of these now, so it's whatever, who cares.
As someone who spends a lot of time comparing different ports, I will say to you that I think that it is unreasonable to disclude ports.
Well, I know, but so the whole focus of the show is for me to play Genesis games that I couldn't play on the Super Nintendo because I've played a lot of Super Nintendo games. I think this was a game that I spent like 5 minutes with in an emulator, so yeah, I haven't really thought about it or really played it too much.
Also a neo-geo game, also ported to the Super Nintendo, but if memory serves, I believe that generally the Super Nintendo version of this game is not considered to be as good.
Okay.
As the Genesis port. The thing about the Genesis and the Neo Geo is that the sort of core processor, the Motorola 68000, I believe it was the same in both systems, but the Neo Geo, the cartridges were way bigger, so they always bragged about the 100 mega shock, right? They had 100 meg games on the Neo Geo, which of course is hilarious now. But at the time, when the biggest Genesis cartridge was, a Strider for a long time, which was 8 megs, the idea of, oh my goodness, there's games that are 100 meg cartridges.
This giant stone golem just bit my nipples.
He'll do that. The reason that some but not all Neo Geo ports were a little better on the Genesis is because the core hardware was pretty similar. So as you're seeing, this game is basically a wrestling game with kaiju. It's a kaiju wrestling game, which WrestleMania is on Sunday, so that's why I picked it for your game this week.
I mean, I think, does Braun Strowman classify as a kaiju at this point?
Yes.
He's flipped over ambulances and been hit by semi-trucks and survived.
They should remake this with Braun Strowman, and they call it the King of the Monster Among Men. So this was a pretty unique concept that I feel like it's sort of a loss that it's not really been revisited in the same way. Like there are giant monster games. And
is this the second giant monster fighting game that I've done in a row? What was the game?
Not in a row. You did Beast Wrestler, and I've wanted to do this since you did Beast Wrestler to prove that there are good games with wrestling monsters. But then we got sidetracked by some other games that were relevant for other reasons.
What was that? We did Cyber Cop or something? Or
was that since we did Beast Wrestler? Yeah, I guess it was. I think
we have not been doing these very often lately. But
Techno Cop, by the way. Cyber Clash. Yeah. Was it Cyber? No, Techno Clash and Techno Cop. We did both.
Okay.
Both Techno Clash and Techno Cop. Also, the Rampage movie featuring professional wrestler Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is coming out next week, I think. It was originally scheduled for 4/20, dude. They pushed the date up to the 13th, I guess. So that's happening. So that seemed relevant because there's not a Genesis port of Rampage. So
I don't think I'm going to get up this time. No. All right.
Even the sequel to this game doesn't do the wrestling bit. It's similar but not congruent. It doesn't really go all in on the wrestling, and there's no pinning or anything.
So like I picked this dude up and then I accidentally set him down again, and I'm not sure how to do a move from there. I may need you to look up some moves. Although I will say generally the controls in this just like make a lot more sense than the ones in that other monster fighting game.
Oh, and I will do that. I'm just I forgot to send out a tweet before we started. So.
Oh.
But also the Pacific Rim 2 just came out, and that's also a kaiju thing. So we're really, it's a media synergy
Pacific Rim jobber.
Yeah. Are you the Pacific Rim jobber in this one? Taking the pin, doing the favor. All right, let's see what I can find out about a move list. Let's see here. Well, this walkthrough just kind of tells you like basic strategies on how to beat the monsters. It doesn't actually say like what the moves are or how to do them.
How do I pin?
Doesn't say that either. Let's see here.
Yeah. Take that, Golem.
For every 10 Ps you get, your monster goes up a level, so it's best to get them early.
Okay, well I got 5. Destruction 11%. Contamination 7%. Maybe I should have done some more farting.
Here we go. Which monster are you playing as? Gion, right?
I guess, I don't know. They didn't have names on the monster selection. I'm playing as the Godzilla proxy.
Yeah. So when you
see, like these dudes are doing pile drivers and backbreakers and stuff, and
right. So the B button will do an Irish whip. A button does a body slam. Down and B does a choke. Up and B does a bite. If you are standing next to the monster while it's down and you hit C, you'll do a knee drop, and A and B together does a back drop apparently. So
all right, sounds like this monster has a pretty
they all have
pretty tame moveset.
Limited movesets, yeah. But Astro Guy can do a pile driver and a shoulder toss and a drop kick and a flying elbow. So I like that the Beatles' name is Beatlemania, apparently. So oh, what a brutal chokehold.
All these again. I don't know what the continue situation is like.
In the arcade version, it's unlimited, but I'm not sure what it's like in the. I don't recall what it's like in the Genesis version. None of these FAQs are actually specifically for the Genesis version.
No, I lost. Yeah, I can continue.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like this is really a wasted opportunity.
Well, because there's like there's all these buildings and things around, but I'm not really sure. Like, I know I can pick stuff up and throw it, but I'm not sure how to make that happen.
I think the A button picks stuff up when you're standing next to it. You can pick up tanks and throw them at monsters and all that good stuff.
Give me that P. Hey, get back here. All right, one more P to level up. So what's the... Must be I just grapple by getting close to the guy?
Yeah, it's one of those. You just get close and that's it. Then you automatically lock up. This is the classic button mash to win the grapple sort of deal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm red now. Shit. You're fucking fucked, son. Okay, so that explains why I would like start to do a move and then not do it. It was because I was not hitting the button enough times.
Yeah, I think that's what I sort of suss out. Not super clear, like I said. These aren't all super descriptive FAQs, to be perfectly honest. You know what I remember this game for most is being on Nick Arcade all the time. This was a Nick Arcade staple. And man, you know, this old sprite art is I don't know. I mean, even this is a Genesis game and not an actual Neo-Geo game, so it doesn't look quite as good as a Neo-Geo game, but
It's all right.
you know, it looks pretty good.
There's a lot more going on than in the other Monster game that we played.
Yeah, definitely. I fired up MAME this week to play some old arcade games, and by default, MAME sets this ugly bilinear filter that makes everything look blurry, and I was like, man, what is up with that? Like, why would it default to that setting? That's disgusting. And after I turned it off, I was just like, man, these old games look like arcade games of the sort of early 90s, like that were sort of contemporary with the Super Nintendo and the Genesis hardware. The stream keeps just like stopping for me. There we go.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know if Twitch is just being dumb or what.
I think my settings are still low from when I was streaming.
No, I don't think it's on your end.
No, I didn't boost the FPS counter either. So
because I'm getting a little circle from Twitch, so it's not like
I don't think it doesn't say I'm dropping any frames, but this video is gonna look a little shittier than normal, unfortunately. I forgot.
The flashing won't look correct.
Yeah. Well, hopefully if there's no sprite flicker going on, then it isn't so noticeable, but it's more of a, like Nintendo games where there's a lot of sprite flicker where it's really noticeable.
Yeah, or anything where if you take a hit, you flash.
Yeah.
You know, in and out.
Yeah, probably some of the shadows look a little weird.
Yeah, they definitely they do now that you call attention to it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the only way I can fix that is if I stop the stream, which I'm not going to do because we're halfway through. So.
Right.
But I feel bad about it.
But yeah, arcade games that were sort of contemporaneous with Super Nintendo and Genesis hardware, right before everything started to go 3D, they just look so good. In a way.
I mean, that was a part of the big appeal of arcades for me when I was a kid. It's just that it was exciting to see games that looked like that. They looked like you said. They looked just so much better and so much different than. And oh my god, like when 3D stuff came out in arcades, it was,
oh yeah.
Well, it predated like 3D home consoles for the most part, and also comparing like the stuff Sega was doing in 1998 compared to what you were seeing in like the Nintendo 64 or PlayStation was just,
Right. I mean, Virtua Fighter 2.
Well, look at the difference between Cruisin' USA in the arcade and on the Nintendo 64.
I have looked extensively at that difference.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot different. Nobody home, no pool, no water in the pool for that elbow from Astro guy. Yeah, it's just the first time I saw even Virtua Fighter 1, I remember seeing it on a magazine cover, and then I remember seeing the game. Or Ridge Racer, any of that stuff is pretty mind blowing. But even then, the older, the sprite based stuff. Talking about WrestleManias this week, like WWF WrestleFest, there was a cabinet of that in my local malt shop. Because I grew up in a town that decided it wanted to try to stay stuck in the 1930s. So I had a local malt shop.
Could you get a black cow?
What's that one?
I don't remember.
Take your big black cow and get out of here.
Nice, thank you.
I could definitely get a root beer float for sure.
Yep. And would they malt whatever you wanted?
They would malt whatever you wanted. Yes,
sure.
absolutely.
Nice.
But they had a WrestleFest cabinet, and man, just those big, chunky, very detailed, sort of double dragon looking WWF sprites. Like there was nothing on console that looked like that. And it's still that stuff. I still just really like that, a lot of those art styles. I was playing this game on MAME this week called what the hell is it called? Night Slashers. It's a Data East beat 'em up from 1992, and the deal is that you have the choice of three different Suplex City, three different vampire monster hunters, and it's like you beat up zombies, and like the detail of when you like defeat a zombie and like the flesh melts off of its skull or like melts into a puddle of goo is really great. I DDT'd a zombie and its brain fell out, like, you know, that kind of that kind of thing. I don't know. I really dig those art styles. It's similar, I guess, for me. It's similar to like when you watch, you know, like a Ray Harryhausen movie or even a John Carpenter movie, like The Thing. Like, people just don't do effects that way anymore, so it's this unique art style that you don't see unless you sort of seek out this older stuff. Pixel art is more popular because a lot of indie games use it, I guess, but even then, I saw a trailer for a game that looked pretty interesting to me in terms of like the conceit, and now I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but they framed it as like it's part action platformer and then it's part like mystery adventure game, and it's coming out for the Switch, but it looks like flash animation. Like, there's not very many frames, and like, your character kind of looks like a marionette, you know.
You can see the joints and a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
and sometimes that looks good and sometimes it looks like crap.
It looks okay, but when you compare it even to stuff like if you played the Batman Brave and the Bold game on the Wii, like, that was done like, it's really high quality. It looks like the cartoon, but it's like all the frames are animated. It's not like Flash where it's like, now move this arm, now move this leg. It's like they drew frame by frame Batman and Robin and Blue Beetle and whatever, and it looks really smooth.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of cases, that's because those had bigger development teams. Like, a lot of the 2D stuff you see these days is done by like 1 or 2 people, studios and stuff.
Yeah, but even then, like,
but I mean, well, like, there's exceptions, like Owlboy was amazing, you know, in any era.
Right, it just took forever.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's
there was
I mean,
guys,
that's
one guy or whatever.
Or Cuphead, for instance, which looks better than basically any video game that ever came out.
Right.
Pretty much.
Oh, I finished that. I was going to talk
about that. Did you finish Cuphead?
I finished it. Yeah, I did.
What'd
So
you
you
think?
were 100% right. King Dice is harder than the Devil, but I honestly didn't think either King Dice or the Devil were that hard. The Dragon gave me the most trouble.
That was the one that Mike had the most trouble with. I had the most trouble with the robot.
The robot was a pain in the ass too.
Specifically the first form of the robot. Like, I had a really hard time getting past that first form, and then once I did, it wasn't super difficult.
It launches from, like, once you destroy the bay in its stomach and bombs start coming out instead of ships, they explode and they make these huge explosions.
Yeah.
Those were the thing that kept getting me. But yeah, actually the third phase of the robot is super easy.
Yeah.
Like, once I got to the third phase, I was like,
yep.
That happened with a couple of them. There were some, like the Devil. The first time I got to the final phase of the Devil, I killed him. Like, he didn't kill me in his final form at all.
I think I had to get there twice, but I didn't think it was like, for me, the thing with King Dice was that it takes about twice as long as a normal boss fight. Like, just to get through the whole thing because of the nature of it, because it's like the Game Board one from
Gunstar Heroes, which I loved about it.
It's really great.
Once you figure out how to hit the roll you want on the die each time, then it becomes a lot easier.
Some of those sub bosses are very difficult, and some of them are very easy.
So I will cop to this. I don't know if save scumming is the right word, but like, I got to the point where if the very first square, which is like the 3 bottles of alcohol or the 3 drinks, you know, if that was the one that had the health expansion, because that's like the hot strat, right? Is like roll for the health boost on every one. If that came up as the health boost, I would just restart, because that they barely take damage, and
the timing on that is really awkward.
Random, and like I was like, I'm just not gonna do it.
It's actually not that. It really isn't that bad. It's just it can be very frustrating to learn it once, but that was definitely one of the hardest ones for me, especially because like one of the easiest ones is right there. Also, the cigar is super easy, and the gambler stacking cup guy is pretty easy too.
Stack of poker chips or whatever, right? Yeah. I thought the cigar was easier because I used the spread chaser combo.
I could beat either of those like without dying pretty consistently.
Without even taking a hit, right? Like, you know. The stack of chips is sort of like a super easy Yellow Devil from Mega Man, right? Like,
the
easiest version of the Yellow Devil. And the cigar is really easy. And even some of the later ones are easy. The rabbit, the magic rabbit.
The singer lady, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think I only fought her once or twice though.
I really hated that. So there's that monkey at the very last one is that gotcha monkey.
Oh yeah, you have to.
And
yeah,
that one
right.
I had that one glitch out on me on several occasions. Like the monkey would go off screen and I couldn't hit it or something. Like that happened a few times and was very frustrating because it's like, well, this is the last one before I actually get to fight King Dice. Really, the thing that was the most frustrating about that boss is that it kind of like the skill to actually beat King Dice, where you have to like do multiple bounces and stay in the air on the counter, is like that's not a thing that you really use in the game very much.
You have to use it on the. Oh, another one that gave me trouble was the pirate, and you have to do that on the pirate.
Yeah,
on the final form.
I didn't have much trouble with the pirate. I don't even remember. I didn't even remember that.
When
I had to go.
him off, it starts shooting a pink laser, like a solid pink laser out of its mouth, and you have to bounce on it.
I don't remember it, but. I had to go back to one of the run and gun levels, the one with the balloons, and then I could practice it, and then I practiced timing the counter jumping, and then kind of got it down, and then was able to take him out pretty easily after that. But
I think when I was going into the third time that I made it all the way to King Dice, I figured out that the way to do it, and this is how I did it, was just to get all the health upgrades and then tank the damage. Like,
all right, fair enough.
So that's, I mean, I bounced on the cards when I could, but like usually I would just tank the first hit because usually the first card you could bounce on was so far in that you had to make the jump, like you had to time the jump pretty perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So I would bounce on the cards to build up my special meter, but for the most part I just tank the damage because he's not that tough in terms of his like health bar, right? He only has one phase himself, and he, you know,
Mile driver.
And especially because I don't know which special you used, but after I got the one where you get the giant spinning cuphead ghost, like that was the one I used for the most part.
I tried out the other two and then went right back to the first one and just used that throughout the whole.
The invincibility one I used like once and went back to the beam, but the ghost. The ghost it depends on that's also how I beat the devil is with the ghost. Because when you fight the devil, when he's giant face, like your second through last forms, you can just sort of stand on the platform and like guide the ghost right over his face, and it just does it does continuous damage as long as it's touching something, and it's just like he just destroys but some bosses it doesn't really work that well on because if you have to be moving around a lot, when you move it moves the ghost. So if you're in a spot where you have to be moving around to avoid the boss's attacks, like that can make it a little hairy. So
yeah, I just the reliability of the beam and the invincibility frames that you got when you use it just made it really difficult for me to justify switching off of it.
Yeah. The train was super fun. I didn't think it was especially hard, but I thought that was probably maybe my favorite level.
I really struggled with the second to last form on the train. I want to say I had some tough times with that one.
Is that the one? Wait, is that the one where the two heads shoot the beam straight down at you, or is that the second?
I don't remember now.
I'm trying to remember which form is which. The first form is the thing that throws its eyes out of its hands at you.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Maybe it was the third form. I don't remember. There was something I really struggled with on that one a little bit, but Beetlemania damage.
Beetlemania's running wild, brother.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do when Beetlemania smashes your
anyway,
city?
Cuphead. It's really fucking good, right?
It's really fucking good. I tweeted about this when I finished it, but to reiterate here on the stream, I would have ranked it higher.
Oh man, I can hear you guys.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's great.
Can you hear me?
Unfortunately.
No.
Oh no!
Hi, Anthony.
Hey.
Yeah, I would have ranked it higher on my best of 2017 list if I had finished it.
I mean, you can't do it if you didn't play it, so.
Right.
But yeah, that game's great. Anyway, I don't know. Is there anything else about King of Monsters? This game seems pretty good. I wish that the roster was a little bit bigger.
Well, the second one
has more dudes.
So the second one in all other versions has fewer dudes.
Oh.
But the Genesis version lets you play as a lot of the boss characters that you don't get to play as in the Neo Geo or Super Nintendo version. So the Genesis version does have a bigger roster. So you're limited to 3, I think, selected. It has fewer characters in the Neo Geo and the Super Nintendo versions, which I think are Astro Guy and the
Astro
pig
Glide.
robot and
I can't.
the Godzilla thing. I think
Yeah.
are the 3 you can
Gion.
play as.
Gone.
Yeah. I think those are the ones
I
you
think
play as
that-
too, but it adds a bunch.
I like all I can think of is how cool this would be if you could somehow like factor in these destructible environments and then just make this play like Fire Pro with all the character creation options and stuff.
Oh man,
And all the movesets and things. Like I mean it might be more difficult because making, you know, weird monsters requires like different animation than making
a wrestler.
yeah, like the wrestling
Just a guy.
the wrestling guys are all pretty much just like there's a lot of decals and stuff that you can change, but they're pretty similar. Whereas
But you know, like
this would
like
require probably a little bit. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I guess like most of the monsters in this game are kind of just dudes with shit glued to their foreheads, like a la Star Trek. So maybe it wouldn't be too difficult to pull something like that off. But
you know, again, like I sort of said at the top here, like no other game has really taken the correct advantage of this. Like they're fighting. There's that Godzilla games for the like Xbox and GameCube and PS2 that people said were, you know, fairly decent, but they're not wrestling games. They're just sort of straight up brawling sort of fighting games. And even War of the Monsters for the PS2, right, was like similar,
Yeah.
but I think Wrestling Monsters is really.
did you ever play that weird like hex-based Godzilla game that came out for the Nintendo?
Oh yeah, I did.
That game was trash.
That game is trash.
It looks cool though, or at least it looks really good in the screenshots.
You know what else was trash?
I don't know if it
played
actually
the
looks good.
I played the PS4 Godzilla game,
Yeah, not
and
so
it's
great.
fucking hot shit garbage.
Definitely seems like the strategy in this would be to,
Credit feed your way through.
well, yeah, you could set the continues higher in the options and just do that. But, like with this guy, the pile driver that he does almost always pops one of those power pellets out of the guys. So you could like level yourself up pretty fast if you just did that move over and over again. And you could farm the first guy and get yourself leveled up, which I guess was something that they mentioned in that guide, but
Yeah, that guy
didn't really
said-
make sense to me at the time. But now I can completely see why that is. I don't know how high of a level you can get, but yeah, it seems like every time I pile drive somebody, I get one of those. So sometimes when I do this choke too, yeah, maybe the B button moves always do that. I don't know. Let's try I'm gonna try and get to level 3, and then we'll call this a
Call this an episode.
yeah.
Seems reasonable
I just want to
me.
see what the next color palette swap is for this Beetle Man.
Not just a Beetle Man, Beetle Mania.
See if he gets like a bowl haircut.
Yeah, and some
Yeah,
a gray suit and some boots, a Rickenbacker guitar.
some big rose-colored sunglasses.
Yeah. A yellow submarine that he can throw at people.
Fucker. Come on.
What a maneuver.
Alright, need one
What a
more.
maneuver!
Get up. What's the button? Oh no, I don't want to pin him. Oh no, that's not it. It's not the pin. What's the... I know there's a button to get guys up, but now that I'm actually thinking about it, I can't do it.
I like that Beatlemania does like a weird, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a senton, but it's also like a
Yeah,
shooting, it's like a
it's-
shooting star.
Oh no,
cent-
get up! No, I don't. Oh shit! There we go. I got up. Yeah, it's just like Jeff Hardy's like rolling senton thing that he does.
But instead of rolling forward, he like does an inverted roll, like a shooting star press.
Oh man,
It's
I'm
like,
gold now.
Stay gold, pony boy.
Or doesn't Bray Wyatt kind of do that move that the Beetle does? Sometimes where he like jumps and like flips his feet out.
Yeah, kinda.
Anyway, that's King of the Monsters. That game's pretty good. I like it. I definitely, like I said, the fact that there's only 4 playable monsters is kind of a bummer, but and the interaction with the backgrounds, the environments, stuff's pretty cool. Being able to jump up and grab planes and throw them at the monsters is pretty nice. And I'm like, was that the same monster game where there was the missiles that would come at you constantly?
No, that was Cyborg
Yeah,
Justice.
Cyborg Justice, right? Where the missiles kept flying in, and did a shitload of damage and made the game not fun to play. Like in this game, those background elements are barely a nuisance unless you want to grab one and smash your opponent in the face with a jet plane, and that's pretty dope. So yeah, this game is fun.
Cool.
It's good.
Right, well,
like I
we'll
said, we need a modern version of this that like it does a lot of the stuff that Fire Pro does.
Yeah,
it'd be awesome.
Yeah. We should we'll see you all next week, or maybe beforehand, because Eric's going to be in my apartment this weekend. So
Genesis is gonna be fun.
That's right.
Anyway, that's King of the Monsters. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bow.